In a major escalation of fighting, the leader of Ethiopia's Tigray region says his forces bombed the airport in the Eritrean capital Asmara. The conflict that began a week ago between the Ethiopian government and the governing party in Tigray is causing a humanitarian crisis in the region. The Trump administration is under pressure to begin the transition to the US President-elect Joe Biden as the country's coronavirus crisis deepens. China has said the signing of the world's largest free trade agreement between 15 Asian-Pacific nations is a victory for multilateralism. It's expected to cement China's dominant role in the region at the expense of the United States. Lewis Hamilton has clinched a 7th World Championship and become the most successful racing driver ever with a masterful victory in the Turkish Grand Prix.
The United Nations says it fears a humanitarian emergency in Ethiopia if civilians in the Tigray area flee fighting between federal and local forces. A UN diplomat says delegates from across Libya have reached an agreement to organize free and fair elections. In the United States, the number of new coronavirus cases reached 144,000 on Wednesday. And the U.S. government says first-time claims for unemployment aid reached 709,000 last week. That is far above the weekly average of 200,000 before the coronavirus pandemic.
15 nations around the Asia-Pacific region have reached a deal to create a huge free trade zone, but India hasn't signed on to the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. The other countries remain open to India joining in the future. Japan, China, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand all signed in an online summit on Sunday. They were joined by the 10 members of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations. The 15 countries account for about 30% of both global GDP and the world's population. The deal will cut tariffs, free up investment, and establish e-commerce rules.
I believe that RCEP will be approved by countries and put into effect in the near future. It will contribute to supporting the process of economic restoration after COVID and bringing common prosperity to the people and businesses of all member countries.
Negotiations for the free trade area started in 2012. India participated but decided not to sign in the end. It's concerned that low tariffs could hurt its domestic industries. Japan's Minister for Economy, Trade and Industry said he's confident the pact will help expand Japan's industrial and agricultural exports to Asia.
RCEP has great significance for further streamlining and revitalizing Asian supply chains built by Japanese companies under unified trade rules.
Japanese Prime Minister Suga Yoshihide asked for cooperation in enlarging the free and fair trade zone. He called for efforts to help bring India on board in the future. The agreement allows Japan to maintain tariffs on 5 items it regards as domestically important. Among them are beef, pork, and rice. Egyptian officials have unveiled more than 100 ancient coffins and 40 funerary statues. They were discovered at a famous site south of Cairo. The coffins were shown to media on Saturday near the step pyramid of Djoser in Saqqara. The wooden caskets, believed to be buried about 2,500 years ago, were found sealed more than 10 meters beneath the Saqqara necropolis. Archaeologists opened a coffin and found a cloth-wrapped mummy inside. They carried out an X-ray examination to determine its age and sex. Egypt's Tourism and Antiquities Ministry says the coffins and artifacts are well preserved. It hailed them as the biggest discovery of the year.
This discovery, number one, because of the number of the coffins that we found. The number of the coffins that we found. We took about more than 100 coffins, which is something really very important. Number two, the standard of living, high-ranked people.
A number of coffins have recently been unearthed in another area of Saqqara. More treasures are expected to be found. The newly discovered coffins will go on display at the Grand Egyptian Museum, expected to open next year in Giza, near Cairo. Here in Japan, more than 1,400 new coronavirus cases were reported on Sunday. Officials in Tokyo logged 255 new cases, the sixth straight day above 200. The total number of confirmed infections in the metropolis has passed 34,000. People were enjoying their weekend while taking preventive measures in light of the rising numbers. Families visited shrines to celebrate a rite of passage for children. In Osaka, they had their temperatures checked and disinfected their hands as they went inside. Only 6 families were allowed into the main hall at one time. Partitions kept them separated.
The barriers make me feel safe.
I'm happy.
Nationwide, nearly 120,000 infections have been confirmed and over 1,900 people have died. People in Japan's central Shizuoka prefecture took part in a cabbage harvesting contest over the weekend. About 70 people took part. They wore masks to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Teams of 4 people competed in harvesting 23.6 kilograms of cabbages. That's equivalent to the annual cabbage consumption of 4 people. There was also a competition to see who could hold the most cabbages in their arms. Contestants were able to take cabbages home for their families to enjoy.
It was fun. I want to do that again. I had to cover my face with a mask all the time, but I was able to fully enjoy the event.
A local agricultural cooperative organized the event to promote the much-loved produce. Over the past 10 years, the number of Muslims living in Japan has doubled to an estimated 230,000. There is now a growing awareness about the strict rules governing food and drink under Islamic law. This appreciation for halal precepts has been putting smiles on the faces of some children in Tokyo. NHK World's Ishikawa Yuki has the story.
This nursery school in Tokyo has recently begun serving lunches that are certified as halal. Nuraz is one of 8 children from Muslim families who attend the school. Nuraz's father, Shafiqul, is from Bangladesh. He came to Japan 14 years ago. One major challenge for the family is finding food they can eat. They don't eat out much because dishes may contain ingredients that are prohibited by Islam.
When we go out, my son often says he wants to eat this or can he eat that. He asks, why do we only eat plain rice bowls?
Shafiqul buys the ingredients for cooking their meals at home from a store that sells meat slaughtered according to Islamic law. Because the number of Muslim children attending the nursery school has been increasing, it decided to start providing school lunches that they can eat. But there is more to it than just making sure the meat is halal. It has to be stored apart from the other meat. The equipment and the plates also have to be kept separate, so they don't come into contact with any ingredients that are prohibited. The school's dietitians had to attend a specialized course before the kitchen finally passed the inspection for halal certification.
We're happy we can provide food that all the children here can eat.
On this day, the children's lunch was tandoori chicken, although it looks just the same. The meal served to the Muslim children was made with halal meat.
My son loves chicken, but he hasn't been able to eat it at school until now. To see him eating chicken at school for the first time makes me very happy.
As this nursery school has found, mutual respect and understanding are essential for people from different cultures to live harmoniously side by side.